Good afternoon, football fans. Welcome back to another episode of Football Talk with Hawk. Wow, what a weekend! What a weekend it absolutely was. I said in the description on a Sunday morning that we were either in for a absolutely horrible week or it was going to be a banger of a week as we had a lot of big spreads, a lot of interesting plays out, and as usual, Vegas was right on a lot and wrong on a few, and the few they were wrong on, boy, really makes things interesting. All right, so we already did the recap of the Rams versus Saints. We did that last week. First of all, hope everybody had a happy and safe and Merry Christmas over this past weekend. I know many travels, many miles. Hopefully, the frustrations were to a minimum and everything went the way that you wanted it to go, or at least close, or at the very minimum, was bearable. Um, but we had a big weekend in the NFL where it's kind of odd what happened. If we're really honest, what took place this past weekend just muddies up what's going to happen over the next 2 weeks. So let's jump into Saturday's games. I said I wasn't going to pick those. They hadn't been played yet when I recorded the pick podcast, but it did end up being Steelers at home division game. Everybody in Pittsburgh's excited. They found their offense. Give me a break. The Bengals still with the backup quarterback. Give Zach Taylor credit. The Bengals should not even be in the position they are. And the Bengals are still in a playoff position without Joe Burrow, backup QB, no Jamar Chase. So let's just be realistic here. Division opponent. Steelers got embarrassed by the Colts the previous week. Everybody was chatting, uh, lots and lots of talk. So, as is the case in football, teams come out a little bit fired up. That first, the first pass play to Pickens that goes all the way down for a touchdown. I mean, that's kind of how the poetry of that game was going to go. And congratulations to the Steelers. Now on their way out west, as they will go play the Seahawks next week in Seattle. But that game, not going to talk about it too much, but it did help and hurt the AFC playoff picture. It brought the Steelers back in, which is interesting, and it put the Bengals in a precarious position. And then we had the Bills and the Chargers. Now, I thought the Bills were going to blow them out. Not going to lie. And if we're really honest, then we would say that, without James Cook's 2 fumbles, they probably would have. I mean, I will absolutely say that. The Bills would have had a bigger lead. Stephon Diggs has kind of gone into the background, which is a scary place for Stephon Diggs to be in. But it's also kind of like what Deebo Samuel's been for the 49ers. The yardage hasn't been there. The targets have kind of been there, but the receptions haven't been there. Yardage hasn't been there. And really, I think more of Buffalo as a sleeping giant on offense with Joe Brady as the coordinator, because I feel like he's going to lull teams to sleep. And then, just like in that game against the Chargers, he's going to hit the big one over the top with Gabe Davis or Stephon Diggs. And he's got that 1-2 punch right now going. I do like how this Bills team is set up. I love the defense. If McDermott does it right, they'll be okay. They got a home game against the Patriots. Let's be honest, they better not let the Patriots hang around like the Broncos did. The Patriots are playing an interesting brand of football right now. We'll get to the Patriots and Bronco game here in a second. But the Bills win, keeping their shot at the AFC East crown 100% in play, playoffs 1,000% in play. And then we get to Christmas Eve on Sunday. I was at my mother-in-law's, who is a huge Colts fan, sitting down with the family, and I kind of knew. Told you guys, I'm picking the Falcons over the Colts. But I didn't know it was going to be that bad. So two things were evident. Number one, Shane Steichen is a complete buffoon. He is fake gold. That offense on Sunday, Pittman can't matter that much. I'm sorry, Pittman cannot matter that much. First of all, the NFL is going to be looking into the reporting of Pittman. Pittman fully practiced on Thursday before being officially cleared of concussion protocol on Friday. There's number one. Number two, he gets dizzy getting off the plane in Atlanta after the flight. It's not good. He wore sunglasses indoors all day on Sunday. I hope he's okay. First and foremost, I hope Michael Pittman Jr. is okay. That was bad. That was really bad handling of that. Very bad handling. But he can't matter that much. What you saw was an Atlanta Falcon defense that said, okay, throw all the smoke and mirrors that you want to. We're not biting on anything. That's what they did. Give Ryan Nielsen credit. He played a perfect game plan as a defensive coordinator for the Falcons. He told his guys, you stay, you don't move, you don't bite, you play your guy and your guy alone. And you know what happened? They beat that guy, and they beat that guy all day long. I have never seen so much stupid motion just for motion's sake. Trying to hit a wheel route with downs up the sideline so many times, and the Falcons covered everything. They never bit on a thing. They didn't bite on any of it. And they absolutely controlled the game. And the Falcons, to their credit, 29-10, I said it, they're a home team. They love playing at home. Young teams love playing at home. They get energized, they get excited. We will defend our house. And listen, Atlanta at home, I will give them a fighting chance against a Dallas. I'll give them a fighting chance against a Philly. More Dallas than Philly, but I'll give them a fighting chance. Because at home, that team plays harder, it plays faster, and it plays fiercer. So let's skip to the afternoon game. That was the game of the week, the Dolphins versus Cowboys. Since I just brought up the Cowboys, let's skip because this is why I think this. Bradley Chubb looked like Lawrence Taylor. Tyron Smith was out. They couldn't cover for the left tackle being out. the Cowboys still can't run. I thought the Cowboys' defense was going to be what controlled this game. It did. The Dolphins only scored 22 points. You held the Dolphin offense to 22 points and lost. That's not on the Cowboy defense. That is not on the Cowboy defense. Yes, I know they didn't stop him, make him kick a field goal, get the ball back with time. You're right, they didn't. You're right. Your offense, instead of scoring a touchdown, only gave you a field goal. When the game mattered, only gave you a field goal, not a touchdown. Dallas isn't allowing a touchdown on that drive, but they allowed a field goal. The reality is the road Dallas team, listen, I thought they were going to win because of their defense. I was one of them. The reality is a road Dallas team just as bad. And without their left tackle is even worse. So if you take away Tyron Smith, if he's not healthy for that game, with Calais Campbell, Bud Dupree, Zach Harrison for the Falcons, not going to lie, the Falcons defense can get to Dak. They don't have a run game. They're going to just rush 4. They're going to play a 7-man defense behind. They're going to double cover and lean over CeeDee Lamb. Jesse Bates, doggone it, Cincinnati is missing him on defense. Bates is an absolute weapon out there. Absolute weapon. Has played great for the Falcons all year. I've always liked Bates as a really good free safety. And he did his job. And he had an interception again, playing the middle of the field, read the quarterback, Minshew threw it up, game over. Okay, let's get to some of the games that I picked. So I picked the Titans to beat the Seahawks because Seahawks are traveling east. Wow, what a game. First of all, Ryan Tannehill, oh my gosh. I said I was worried about it, but still leaning in because they were home. They had Derrick Henry throw the touchdown pass instead. Like, that's... I understand why they're so excited about Will Levis. I really do. I understand why they're so excited about Will Levis, because the guy can actually throw the football downfield. Ryan Tannehill, he's going to be released. I don't know who's going to pick him up. There is a team that will need a backup like him to potentially spot start that they need to just hold down the fort. We've seen it before. We've seen it a lot this year, and we'll get into that in a second, later after we go through the games. But a huge game. Pete Carroll did his job. He got the Seahawks ready. Geno Smith leads the game-winning touchdown drive. Tennessee just doesn't have the offensive firepower to turn it around and go back down the field to be able to tie it or get the lead back. So the Seahawks pull out the W, very straight up, no questions asked. Seahawks pull out the W. Detroit, Minnesota, good game. Minnesota was in their white jerseys at home. Not sure what that was about, but nonetheless, Minnesota in their white jerseys at home. They lose Addison, potentially. They did lose Hawkinson. So Hawkinson is out until next year with the ACL-MCL injury. Honestly, this team needs to just lose. I know it sounds bad, but realistically, Kevin O'Connell needs to stop trying to win. They got a Sunday night football game against the Packers at home. You don't want to get embarrassed. I don't think the Packers can embarrass you. By evidence of their game against the Panthers, Minnesota, give them credit. They're scrappy. It's a division opponent. They fought hard. Detroit gets the division clinching win. Congratulations to Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions for clinching the NFC North. They deserve it. They deserve it. Yes, they're an up and down team. Yes, there's question marks. So what? The team is fun to watch. When they score 30 points, you're not beating them. That's it. When they score 30 points, you are not beating them. Nothing else. No other questions. That simple. So congratulations to Detroit. Minnesota, if I were you, I'm just losing at this point. Don't hurt your draft stock by pulling out W's you don't really need. Yes, I know it's not what the players want. I get it, but really, I think everybody's safe in Minnesota. The injuries are talking. Just be careful. You got a lot of things to think about in the off season. I hope nobody else gets injured. TJ Hawkinson going down is a hard one, but the reality is they can't compete with anybody. They don't have the receivers to right now. Okay, but next game, let's talk about it real fast. Packers end up barely holding on against the Panthers. Bryce Young's big day. Hello? Listen, Mr. Barry in Green Bay is going to be fired in the offseason. He is the defensive coordinator right now. He will not be at the end of the season. Bryce Young's big day comes right after Baker Mayfield just had a perfect passer rating against him. Really? That defense is that bad? The defensive play calls are that bad? Their pieces aren't bad. So I don't know why they're so bad on the back end, but doggone it, Green Bay makes a game that they should have really won handily, a game where you're biting your fingernails if you're a Packer fan. 33-30. The next game, another close one, Commanders at Jets. The Commanders. I was excited. That game was going down. The Commanders took the lead. And I went, yes, got this one right. I was excited. And Ron Rivera and the Commander defense couldn't stop Trevor Siemian and that Jet offense from getting a field goal. Breece Hall ran all over the place. Hall had a huge game. But really, Ron Rivera? Obviously, he's not coaching for his job. He's going to be fired. I thought he may have gotten fired today. But at this point, I think ownership's just going to kind of wait. But come on, man. Really? Come on. Jets win. Late field goal. Greg Zuerlein. They win 30-28. Congratulations to the Jets. Robert Saleh has done a very good job without Aaron Rodgers of pulling out a decent season. All right, the next game, Cleveland and Houston. Cleveland came in. Their defensive line was all over the Texans. Case Keenum looked horrendous. He got replaced with Davis Mills. Davis Mills was trying to bring him back. Oh, and another note on the Washington game. I thought he was going to start Brissett because Brissett has looked so good the last 2 weeks. He started Sam Howell, who went 6 for 22, and then Brissett came in and I believe was 9 out of 10, 9 out of 11, something like that, threw the bombs and led the comeback. Like, Ron Rivera needs to be fired just because his brain cells evidently aren't clicking at this point in time. Like, that's really where we're at. Sam Howell is not a franchise guy. Obviously, that's very clear. So Washington's taking a quarterback in the draft. Whoever the next coach is going to decide that. Anyway, back to Cleveland. Cleveland's defensive line absolutely blitzed Houston. Davis Mills comes in, trash time, gets some more points. Whatever. Cleveland dominated them. Stroud looks to be back next week. Houston wins their final 2 games. They're in the playoffs. It's that simple. Jacksonville at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's defensive line was all over Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence looks hurt. Trevor Lawrence looks like he needs to have 2 weeks off. They rushed him back with the ankle that you remember he needed help walking off the field with. So they rushed him back from the ankle. They never gave him time to really get back into this. And now he's got this shoulder injury because he's gotten hit so much. If I'm Doug Peterson, my focus is offensive line in the draft. Whether they make the playoffs or not at this point, I don't care. Offensive line needs to be the focus. You got to protect Lawrence. You got the weapons. Parker Washington, Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. Brenton Strange is a great rookie. Well, he's a good rookie tight end. He's decent. You got running backs, Etienne, Dearness Johnson, Tank Bisbee. The weapons are fine. The defense looks good. And you got to get that offensive line. Offensive lineman is a requirement for the Jacksonville Jaguars right now. And I would trade. If I could get a guy that's on a 1 or a 2 year deal still, I'd trade a 3rd or 4th round pick. Get that offensive line shored up. Tampa Bay, they're on a heater. They're feeling it. They're feeling themselves. They're feeling good. This week is going to be a big test. This is the hardest one. Coming into next week, they play the Saints at home. Division opponent. What's going to happen? The Saints, they can go deep. They get time. Shaheed can run. It's going to be interesting. All right, the next game, Arizona at Chicago. This one ended up being more of a game late, but really Chicago in Fields wasn't great. See, this is what's confusing. Chicago's winning, but Fields isn't having career days. He's not having great games. He's just good, and they're talking about we see progress. Listen, we're going to need to see a little bit more than progress, and I think it's going to be with another team. I think Fields can take the next step as far as becoming a Kirk Cousins, Dak-ish type quarterback. Okay? I really think he can get to that B tier where he's not going to win you the Super Bowl by himself. But if you're not paying him a ton of money, then he's 100% able to help your team. His legs are fantastic. His reads have been getting better. I will say that. His throws have been getting smoother. I will say that. He's improving, and you give him an offensive coach that knows how to be able to take care of that, knows how to be able to work with that. I think he's got something. I really like Justin Fields to Atlanta for a conditional 2nd round pick. I really like that trade for them. If Atlanta doesn't get a top 10 pick and can't get Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr., I think a trade for Justin Fields gives them the ability to kind of work on the offensive line a little bit. They got some weapons. They can get some more weapons later in the draft, shore up the offensive line early, maybe get another defensive piece because their defense is it's a little scrappy. Caden Ellis, Luther Ellis' son. Like, the defense is a little scrappy. So I could easily see that happening, but the Bears pull out a win. Eberflus coaching for his job. In a sense right now, I still wouldn't do it. You've got 2 first-round picks. You don't want to let him screw this up. All right, we already went over the Dallas-Miami game. Denver and New England. Oh my gosh. Denver and New England. First of all, Russell Wilson's in trouble. Russell Wilson is in trouble. You lost to New England at home, and Bailey Zappi outplayed you. Denver, because of the day, by the time Denver played, Cincinnati had lost, the Colts had lost, the Texans lost, the Jaguars lost. By the time they played football, all they had to do was win out, and they were in the playoffs. No kidding. Win out, and you're basically in the playoffs if you're the Broncos. Instead, they absolutely stunk it up. Don't know if it was the creamsicle orange jerseys or not. I don't know. It was horrendous. And then you get beat at the end of the game 26-23. I don't think Sean Payton likes Russell Wilson at all. Russell Wilson is a lot of smoke and mirrors. And I think he needs a little bit. I don't think he's going to fit with Payton. I just don't. Sean Payton and Drew Brees were perfect for each other. Drew Brees knew his limitations and knew that his coach had his best interest in mind. Russell Wilson is too prideful to understand his limitations. Understand he's getting older. Nobody likes getting older. That's fine. But understanding what's happened as he gets older and not trusting the coach to make him look better than he really is. Do I think Drew Brees was as good of a quarterback as he looked in New Orleans without Sean Payton? No. No. I don't. He was not Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. He just had the coach that was really good at covering up his weaknesses in the pocket, his weaknesses being short. And Russell Wilson is not willing to let Sean Payton cover up his weaknesses or be admitting of them, that he has them in the first place. So Denver really screwed the pooch on being able to make the playoffs. It makes it harder for them to get in. There still is a way it can happen, but doggone it, it's hard. Need a lot of help. All right, let's get to Christmas Day. We got 3 games on Christmas. We're not going to talk about the middle one nearly as much. Game number 1, Las Vegas Raiders absolutely dismantled the Chiefs and had no offense while doing it. Antonio Pierce, to me, solidified the fact he will get on an offer to be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. He should accept it. Unfortunately, he's probably going to be the 3rd, maybe the 4th best coach in the division. Right now, you can't put him above Sean Payton, and you can't put him above Andy Reid, and I don't know what the Chargers are going to do or who they're going to end up with. But Antonio Pierce has the buy-in of the whole team. I hope they don't make the playoffs. I hope there's a way they can cut Garoppolo, save enough cap money, have dead cap, and get a quarterback in the draft. There's rumors that potentially the Jets are going to go after Davante Adams. That's an all-in move on Aaron Rodgers if that happens. Because they're going to have to give up their first-round pick to get him. And if I'm the Raiders, I need my future quarterback. I've got Jacoby Myers. Hunter Renfrow is a solid slot. They got Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. Good tight end. Very good tight end. Running back's going to be a question mark. Zamir White has played okay. I don't think he's a lead back. I like him as the backup. Josh Jacobs is probably not sticking around. I'd let him walk anyway. There's been a lot of injuries. You can do a lot in the draft if you're the Raiders. Your core is going to stay together. Let's be honest, Davante Adams hasn't been that big of a threat this year because Aiden O'Connell can't throw the ball downfield, can't get open. But the Raider defense just showed you how to stop Patrick Mahomes. There have been a couple teams that have showed you, but they really showed you. The Bills showed you. Make Patrick move now. Make him move quick. The routes don't come open. Make him move. Cut half the field out. If he rolls right, he's mainly looking right. If he rolls left, he's only looking left. Cut the field in half, and you'll be better off. Kudos to the Raiders. What a game. What a game plan. They played it perfectly. All right, Giants and Eagles. Giants bench. Tommy DeVito, Tyrod Taylor will probably start Week 17. I would start him. Taylor is your backup quarterback that you want. He's the experienced veteran that you want backing you up. The Lions will not have Bridgewater next year, so Goff will have a new backup quarterback next year. Bridgewater is a great backup quarterback for Goff. Bridgewater has been an underdog, but Bridgewater is very intelligent, very smart, and he's retiring after this season. But Tyrod Taylor comes in, tries to lead the Giants back. Philly basically had the game in hand. It looked like Philadelphia's game to lose, and it was. All right, Monday Night Football. Let's talk about this real fast. The Ravens smashed them. I liked the Ravens in this game. I knew the line was too big. I liked the Ravens in this game. I was worried about it being a bloody smash-mouth game. And as I told my buddy earlier tonight, it looked like they were the Phoenix Suns under Mark D'Antonio that were just running fast breaks the entire game. And San Francisco was just trying to figure out what happened. That's simple. The Ravens knew on Monday Night Football they had to go all out, and then they got a matchup with Miami next week at home. Potential letdown game, but I don't think so. Because Baltimore Ravens are the most disrespected team in the NFL. Lamar Jackson, definitely one of the most disrespected quarterbacks in the NFL. Guys, he wins. Who cares how he does it? Do you want to win or not? Do you want to win or not? He wins. There are only probably 6 teams in the NFL that may not trade their quarterback for Lamar Jackson. And that's probably high. Like, there's the reality. Lamar Jackson is the MVP. If he doesn't win it, these guys are blind. It's the best team in the football now. They finish out the last 2 games, it's guaranteed they're the best team. They'll go 14-3. Best team in the NFL. Doesn't matter what injuries. Top tight end, down. Like 7, 8 running backs they've used this year. Who cares? Ronnie Staley, left tackle. Sometimes plays, sometimes doesn't. Doesn't matter. That organization, the Ravens and the Rams, are 2 organizations that are absolutely amazing at Band-Aids and covering up weaknesses and drafting and development. Just amazing. All right. So, wanted this to be a shorter recap podcast. Don't want to run and belabor a bunch of stuff. So I want to kind of just inform you. We're going to dive deeper into this in the next couple nights. But right now, the 10th pick in the NFL draft is held by the Atlanta Falcons as of right now at 7-8. They could win their division still. It takes them beating the Bears and beating the Saints, and then they need the Bucks to lose to the Saints this week and lose to the Panthers on the road, which, by the way, Panthers at home, do not count them out. So they need a little help. That's obvious. But think about this. They can go from 10th in week 17, being the 10th pick in the NFL draft, to the 24th pick by the time the playoff seeding is done and rolled around after Wild Card Weekend. 14 spots. Just think about that. 14 spots. There are multiple teams at 5-10 right now. I think the Patriots end up 5-12. I got them losing this week to the Bills and beating the Jets. I think the Commanders don't win another game. They lose to San Francisco. They lose to Dallas. They'll have 4 wins. I think Arizona also has 4 wins because I think they'll beat the Seahawks in week 18 at home. I always love underdog teams in week 18 when they're playing a division opponent and they're trying to spoil potential playoff hopes. And that will be the Cardinals at home week 18 against the Seahawks. The draft positioning, really, it's wild. I don't think the Chargers win another game. They're going to go 5-12. You're going to have at least 3, potentially 4 teams at 5-12 in the NFL draft. And it's going to be picks 4, 5, 6, 7. The Jets will probably get 8. I've got them losing both their final games. But the Jets will probably get 8 at a 6-11 draft pick, at a 6-11 record. The Bears will get 9th. Their actual draft pick, not the one from Carolina. The Bears will get 9th. Either potentially 7-10 or 6-11. But everybody from 10th to 32nd is completely fluid right now. Completely fluid. And you can jump 14 positions. Heck, if you win the first round and don't get eliminated until divisional weekend, you could jump 16, 17, 18 draft positions, and you could be drafting 28th. It's just how things are playing out right now. This is the most mathematically alive team since 2004. Almost 20 years, guys. We haven't had a season like this in 20 years. It's a monopoly of the different aspects of football all colliding at once. Cap strategy, youth, the quarterback salary option, which is now affecting these teams that were so good on the rookie quarterback salary and no longer good when their quarterback actually hits that cap. These quarterbacks may start learning. I know Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are going to be fully aware of this. Patrick Mahomes was an idiot, and he's not. Russell Wilson was an idiot, and he's not. I'm fine for people getting their money. Do not misunderstand me, but You got to understand your business. You got to understand your business. You're going to take that much money, that's less money they have to help you do your job. That's the business. Does it suck? Yep. Do teams like it? Nope. Is that the position you put yourself in? Yep. That's all there is to it. So, as we come down to these final weeks, we'll talk more about what's going on with the head coaching stuff because there's more different reports. Like all of a sudden now there's no firm decision on what's happening with Bill Belichick at the end of the year. Nothing's been made. No. The decision has been made that he won't coach for the Patriots. It's because Kraft doesn't want him coaching somewhere else for free. It's because of how Kraft also wants his own coaches. I said Mike Vrabel. I love what he's built in Tennessee. I really do. He understands offensive line. He's drafted offensive linemen. He knows. I think he still needs a little bit more because they had to move their left tackle they drafted into left guard. The left tackle, Duncan, is really weak. I think they need a little bit more help on the offensive line. But reality-wise is they're not bad. They're not bad. They got some cap room, and it's okay. You get an extra second from the Patriots, which is going to be the top of the second round. You get an extra second for Coach Vrabel. Maybe you take it. He's built something. Are you 1,000% sure that he's the guy? You're going to see a lot of these things play out over the next couple weeks. And what it does is it gives us a plethora of things to watch, a plethora of things to look at. And we, as the football fan, are not only watching one thing or two things. There's not only 3 teams in the playoff race. Right now, between the two sides, there's almost 24 teams. There's 22 teams legitimately in the playoff race. Legit chances to get there. That's wild. It's fun. It gives us multiple things. We're never happy with only 1 or 2 things to watch. Let's be honest. It gives us what we want as football fans. All right, guys. That is your Week 16 recap. I appreciate you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much, whether on Spotify or on YouTube. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. And guys, that is it for this episode. Until next time, guys, I am Hawk. Be safe. If you're traveling home still, travel safely. And I will see you guys in tomorrow's podcast. Hawk out.